Hey all, welcome back to my channel. I'm Christina. If you're new here, I'm currently 24 weeks pregnant. I share a lot of weekly pregnancy update vlogs, but I'm also all about self-development and self-transformation and enriching our own lives because I believe that will lead to a world that's better for everyone. If that's something you're interested in, definitely subscribe. So for this week, I'm 24 weeks pregnant, but I guess I have to do week 22 and 23 updates, kind of where I've been, what's been going on. Yeah, I don't know. I've been kind of in a slowing down mode recently. Obviously it's the holidays, you know, we're after Christmas, we're before the New Year's, and I have some time off from work right now, and I've also finished the paralegal course that I was in. So I've had some time to myself to kind of reflect and sink into and kind of relax and rest a little bit, which I was fully taken advantage of, even though part of me felt guilty, like I wasn't utilizing the time I now had available to me, because the whole time I'm in my paralegal course, I'm looking forward to the time when I would be done, because I would have this, 5 to 10 hours a week back to myself, and I can do whatever I want with it. I don't have to dedicate it to school. And then also with, vacation having, 9 days off, it's like, oh, it's gonna be my time, I can do whatever I want, and I have these big plans, and we try to set ourselves up to maximize the time that we have available to us, and then when the time comes, I don't want to really do anything except for read and cook, and yeah, that's pretty much it. And so I had to adjust myself a little bit in accepting the fact that I needed some rest. I finished my paralegal course and getting some time off work, which I haven't had time off work since July. So it was a point of allowing myself to not feel like I needed to do anything, and to be okay with the fact that actually what I wanted to do, despite all the plans I had, my body just really wanted to rest. I was tired. I've been napping every afternoon for the last few days. It's been really great. So I've now embraced this kind of relaxation and this restfulness that my body was needing, and I think myself needed too. I've been just enjoying slowing down and reading, like I said, and doing some baking and doing some cooking and just hanging out with my partner and just being home and not having to do anything. But I still have quite the list of things that I want to do, so I'm kind of getting now back into that mode, that creative mode, hence I'm doing a vlog. Yeah, so in terms of the pregnancy, what do I want to share? It's been fun. I will say probably 3 weeks ago, I had a strong reaction come up because, as I mentioned in previous vlogs, I did experience the first baby kicks at around 17 weeks, and he's been super active since. And then there went what I thought was a slow period where I wasn't feeling him kick as much, or the routine in which I would normally feel him, which is usually after I ate in the mornings and after I ate in the evenings, and then when I would get into bed for the night is when I would usually start feeling him kick. I felt like that changed, and I wasn't feeling him at those particular times anymore, and I started to have some really strong reactions. I started to think, my mind just started churning out some really crazy ideas, such as my uterus was growing but he wasn't, and so the kicks weren't as strong. Something was wrong with his development. He wasn't growing properly. His kicks weren't as strong as they should be for him growing, or not knowing if he was alive still, thinking, did the heart stop beating again? Is he not alive in there? Just basically going into some really strong reactions that I had, similar to in the beginning of the pregnancy, where it's you just think something's wrong, something happened, But what was interesting about this particular reaction was that I knew that it was coming from a source outside of me, and it was an external idea that imprinted itself into me, and I accepted as my own, and then I started coming up with all these crazy fears from there. And so that was an interesting point for me to consider, that these ideas that I was having, this worry I was having, this fear that I was having, wasn't my own. It was something that happened outside of me that I saw and then interpreted and internalized and processed within myself. It was actually a couple that I know that the baby was delivered at 28 weeks, and I saw pictures of the baby. They posted on Facebook, and I think from that moment, that was the moment after I saw that realizing I was coming up to this milestone. You know, I'm 24 weeks now. They were 28 weeks when the baby was delivered, and still doing well, which is great, but it was that point of something could happen like that to us. And what was interesting also was that there's been moments throughout my pregnancy where I've known people who've had things happen. For instance, someone else that I know had a miscarriage at 14 weeks. So when we were approaching the 14-week mark, I thought we could miscarry up to 14 weeks. So it's like these things that I hear outside of myself from other people's circumstances, other people's experiences, and I make them markers within my own self, and I use them as a reference point for myself. And I notice that when I do that, it's fear-based, you know, it's like this could happen at this point because it happened to this one person that I heard about. And so then until I get to that point and surpass it, I don't really allow myself to let go of that fear. Yeah, so I noticed that I was having that reaction, and I knew that it was something coming from what I saw outside of myself. It wasn't me, you know, it wasn't coming up from inside of me. It wasn't information based on what's in me. It was something that happened outside of myself. So it was a cool point for me to see in terms of realizing how influential our outside world can be if we allow it. Once I realized that it was this external factor that played a role in my fear, and I saw this other point of how I had this tendency to use other people's experiences as markers for my own, I was able to let it go a bit and to realize, again, like, I just need to trust my body. Nothing is indicating that there's something wrong. You know, the pregnancy is progressing as far as I can tell. And what was also really important for me was to realize that when I'm in my head with these fears, worrying, being concerned, almost like possessed by this idea that something could be wrong, I'm in my head and I'm not in my body fully, which is where the baby is. And if I'm not focused on my body, then how can I be aware of those kicks? You know, so it was that point of I might actually be missing or interpreting this point of he's not kicking as much because I'm so caught up in my head about this fear of him not kicking so much. So I'm like not in my body. I can't really feel it. I'm not aware of those sensations because I'm not here in my body. I'm in my head. So as I came to that point of realization as well, I was able to kind of drop that, and I've been stable since in terms of not having that fear come up. And what was really cool about that point of realizing if I get out of my head and get more grounded in my body, I'm more likely to be aware of his movements. They've been very strong. I had a kick the other night that like jolted me while I was in bed, which is really interesting. Hi, Ollie. Ollie wants to be on camera. Yes, he's such a good poser. So yeah, so that was a cool point for me to walk through and see and come to these realizations about. And so in terms of also getting grounded in my body, what I'm doing is the last vlog I shared with you about the new active birth book that I was reading. I finally finished that, which was really cool, and I'll maybe do a separate vlog going deeper into that book. But they do provide yoga-based poses and stretches to support throughout the pregnancy and to also prepare for an active labor. And so I've been doing that for the last week or so, mostly every night, and it's been amazing because it's just 30 to 45 minutes every night of me like breathing, being very aware of my breath, very aware of my body, and just like stretching and loosening out and like kind of like opening my body up, you know, and moving my body and getting it flexible and getting it like more fluid. And so it's been really nice too from that perspective of just like, that's another thing I'm doing to like support myself to stay grounded in my body, to stay present with my body so that I'm not going into my mind where that's where I can make up all sorts of scenarios that can really, pardon my French, fuck with me if I allow it. So definitely important for me, for myself, I know, to practice like just physically grounding myself in my body. The yoga poses is really helpful, but that's also what I'm currently focusing on. Yeah, so what else? I feel like there's a lot in this one too. Overall, I'm getting organized with what I need, and I'm keeping it very simple in terms of not feeling I need to buy excess stuff. I'm just kind of keeping it simple in terms of ensuring he's got what he needs for clothes, sanitation, food, and yeah, just like kind of keeping it simple like that. And I'm glad that I don't feel like I need all this other extra stuff to fill the house with, because really we just don't have the room. And I think a lot of it is just unnecessary items that are sold to us. I think babies are very simplistic in terms of they're running on pure instincts and basic necessities in the beginning especially, so just kind of focusing on that. Another point I realized with the sciatica pain that I mentioned last time, it's not sciatica pain because that's a nerve, and there's no like resonating pain anywhere from that hip point that I was experiencing pain. And after I made the last vlog, I think it was the next night, I rolled over in bed and my hip, that hip popped like 3 times or cracked like 3 times. And I was talking to another friend of mine and she suggested a chiropractor because it does seem like it's a bone issue. It's like the way my hips are aligned or my pelvis is like aligned. So I scheduled a chiropractor appointment for Wednesday. I'm really nervous because I've never been to a chiropractor, and I've heard that if you go to a chiropractor, you'll always have to go to a chiropractor, and I'm just like nervous about the whole like snapping and cracking of my body, and so I'm facing a little bit of a fear doing this, but I'm also kind of like can't stand the pain so much anymore. So a friend of mine said she had a similar pain in her after pregnancy, just from carrying the baby all the time, and she said that it was quite a relief when she went to a chiropractor and got that kind of sorted. So I'm definitely looking for some relief, so I'm willing to walk through the fear. So I will report on that next week. Hopefully I get a solution to that physical pain I've been experiencing. And what else? My belly button is bruised. Have you women who've had babies have that experience? It's like my belly button is like purple now. It used to be just this nice, you know, peach cream colored like the rest of my body, but it looks now like my belly button is bruised. So that's new. Hunger comes out of nowhere and comes with a vengeance, which is like kind of fun because like I said, I love food, so I like being hungry because that means I can eat, and yeah, it's that's been fun. No big cravings like for anything in particular other than still like fruit juices. I really like fruit juices and fruit, but once in a while I'll just get like a craving for something in the moment, like fish. The other night I was craving fish just like out of this world, and so nothing like that's very like common every day that I'm craving besides the fruit juice. I think that's it. I think that's it for this week. It's kind of a long vlog again. Thanks for watching if you're still here. Oh, and I will also show you the belly. Definitely got a lot more happening this week. Yeah, that's me at 24 weeks. Okay guys, thanks for watching. See you next week. Bye.
Hey,